Hi, my name is Nicole Brophy. I actually teach developmental math here. I've been teaching developmental math for about 6 years now, teaching math for over 16. So I love math. I love talking math. So today we are going to talk about math anxiety, which a lot of people have, especially in developmental math. And so we wanted to just have a conversation about it so that we can share some of the things that we go through and some things that we might help other people to help out later for them if they ever experience it. So what is anxiety in general? What is that?
I just get nervous, and I pretty much not just math, but every test. Because
Yes.
I feel like you have to meet a certain standard to do good.
Yeah, that's a great example because anxiety in general, everybody has anxiety. Even when we're driving a car, it's like our safety net is to keep us alert so that we are on alert to look out for danger. Mm-hmm. So we all have that as a safety mechanism. It's a learned response. So, of course, when we go to take a test, we want to do really well, and so we'll have that little bit of nervousness right beforehand. It also prevent or ask us or make us want to study so that we do perform well. Right. And it's sort of like dating when we go on that first date. You get nervous, we dress all up, we take our shower, and all those things that make you want to perform well. That's a learned response that we all have that's natural. Mm-hmm. So we have this huge continuum where we have those are healthy anxiety things that we get shown that actually come up for us. And then we have this other extreme on the continuum where I've had students come in and I hand them a test and they forget their name. I mean, it can be really, really bad. I even remember, not that I would ever get pulled over, but I got pulled over, and I remember the guy asking me what my address was, and thank goodness my kids were in the back of the car because I totally blanked, and that is normal. That's what happens is when we get really, really anxious, we can completely shut down and get really nervous, and so we stop thinking. It's like a huge wall goes up around our brain, and we cannot penetrate it. It's like the castle and the moat on the outside, and nothing can come in. And seriously, nothing comes in and nothing goes out, and so there's no transference of information. We can't learn, and we can't output information. And I'll see it. And I'm sure you guys have ever been in class where you're sitting there, and you're like, whoa, okay, way over my head. I don't know what they're talking about, and you can feel yourself shut down. And then from that moment on, I'm anxious, I don't know what they're talking about, and that negative self-talk starts happening, and boom, we're checked out. Mm-hmm. I know, I have it in my class where I'll see it. It's like deer in the headlights. Are you serious?
I feel like I do that a lot too, though. But I feel like if you want to absolutely learn it, you got to repetition. It's not just one time.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and especially with math. People say practice makes perfect, but it doesn't. Practice makes permanent. Right. And but you have to practice it correctly each time, or else you will actually learn incorrect behaviors. And so that's what a lot of times it happens with math anxiety, is that we tend to set up behavior patterns that are not productive, right? I mean, we all procrastinate. We've all done it, right? Or we procrastinate something, and those are habit patterns that we create, especially when there's something that we don't like, right? And a lot of people don't like math. Oh, it kills me. But no, a lot of people don't like math, and so it's not going to be a priority. And so when it's not a priority, we avoid it. We put it off till the last moment. And so then what happens? It's a huge cycle. So we don't like math. We're afraid of doing poorly on it, or we are convinced that we're not good at math. So we put it off. We avoid doing it. Yeah. Then what happens? You
don't know anything.
You don't know anything. Yeah. So
take the test.
Then you go to take the test, and then you do really well or bad.
Either way.
You're probably going to do poorly.
Yeah.
Most likely you'll do poorly if you haven't spent any time on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we procrastinated, or maybe we waited till the last minute and did it all at once, and did it, 6 hours worth of studying, boom, done. And then you get to the test, and you can only hold so much information in your brain at one time and absorb it. So you get to the test, and you probably aren't going to perform well. And then you go and you take that test, and you don't do well. And then what does it do? oh, it reinforces, I am awful in math, I shouldn't do it, I'm never going to be good at it, blah, 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 blah. All those negative things that we tell each other and ourselves, and then you avoid more, and then you do worse, and then it's just this cyclical cycle that you just continue and continue and continue. So, we got to talk about how we're going to break that cycle also. But really fast, on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being flowers and peace signs and smiley faces. We love math. And 0 being, oh my gosh, I would avoid math with everything, every fiber in my body. Where are you guys on the scale?
3.
3. Okay. All right. So I always start my classes off by asking about that, so I kind of get a feel for where we are. I'm definitely a 10. I love it, right? And I always say, oh, get ready, because I'll convert some of you by the end of the semester. Because really it comes down to, I haven't had a student who hasn't passed because of capability. It really, really, a lot of times comes down to practice, like you had brought up, Cade, and taking that time. You have to have that time. I don't even think I have had one student who hasn't passed my class who hasn't worked hard for it. People say, well, I just am not good at math. That's a myth. There's nothing, boys are better at math than girls are. Myth. I can't learn math. It's just all these things that get created over time that we hear, that get reinforced by our own behavior. I once had a student in class who said, I used to be so good in math. And I was handing her back a failing paper grade, right? And I said, but wait a second. Let me just ask you a question. I thought you said you work full-time. She said, I do. And I said, don't you have kids at home? She said, yeah. And I said, oh. So how much time have you actually spent on learning the math? And she's like, oh, yeah. I said, so it's not the math. But a lot of times, it was the time in her case. She just hadn't had the time to put towards it. And so a lot of times we put the blame on the subject matter versus...
It's actually you.
Yeah, because who wants to blame ourselves? We don't want to take blame. But if we start acknowledging what's the problem, or if we've had a bad experience, a lot of times, I don't know if you guys have had any bad experiences or can think back to it. Most of the time someone can tell me if they have a lot of math anxiety that there was probably a bad experience that they had. Normally it's in elementary school, but it could be any grade. But even I had it. I mean, I don't know if you guys ever had to do where you sit in a circle and you had a race. So you had to stand behind the person, and if you couldn't do the math problem faster than they could, then you lost, perceived losing or failed, and you had to sit down and they kept on progressing.
Yeah, we had something similar to that too. With like the planets, and you get to be like a little ship, and you go, and if you completed it once, you would have got like Sonic from the teacher, or Sonic card from the teacher. And then you could do it multiple times and just keep getting better things. And
you can understand. They're trying to motivate you. They're trying to give you some kind of reward. But there's so many other psychological, emotional, social issues that get associated with that that, it can really just damage a persona and a personality. And so then we take that and say, oh, well, I wasn't good, or I was in when they start breaking off students into the higher math and then the middle math and the lower math, we know what class we're in. They try to call it blue team and red team or whatever, but we know when they start sectioning us off, and then that stigma stays with us, or can, until we break it. So it's just really interesting to see how those psychological things end up carrying forever. And until we say, wait a second, I'm really good in English. I'm really good in history. Look, I'm acing everything else. And you look back and you go, okay, why am I really not good in math? Is it something that I'm not smart enough? No, obviously, or else I wouldn't be able to perform in all my other classes. And so it's really interesting when you get someone to sit down and say, have you ever had an issue with math with a teacher? A teacher yells at you, picks on you in the middle of class. I've had it before. So I totally get it. So we talked about some of the body signs that come up, butterflies in your stomach, sweaty palms, panicking, that nervousness, shaking, headaches, not even being able to focus, and that little, I'll call him the little devil on your shoulder, that negative self-talk person that just sits there and tells us we have enough in our environment. I don't know why we do it to ourselves also, but that little voice that says, see, you're not good enough. You'll never make it. And I can't even look at you and talk to you and say it at the same time. But we all do that naturally, and how quickly it goes. That little voice goes off so fast. And so we have to talk or stop. One of the techniques is saying, stop thinking about that. And I normally yell, but I don't want to scare you out of your seat. But I normally say, stop thinking about that. And it's that jerk in your head that actually makes you stop.
Makes you question yourself.
Yes, and makes that chatter stop, because once you stop that chatter, then you got to replace it. You can't have two thoughts at the same exact time. So if you don't want it to be negative, you got to replace it. And a lot of people have problems thinking about positive things. So I always say, get a little index card, have some good things written down. Hey, I've studied really hard for this. I am a very good student. I am very smart. All of these positive things that you can reinforce so that you can fill that space. Okay. So we talked about the cycle and how it's cyclical. What about some of the things we can do that would help us in a testing environment? So you're about to take a test. Or before. Let's go before. Before we're taking a test. It's a week before.
Start studying.
When do you start studying?
The week
Not the
before.
night before.
You really do the week before?
When do I start studying personally?
Sure.
Or like night before, and I'll look at it the day before that.
Okay. That's normal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Because
really
I feel
is
like I
normal.
have so much other stuff I got to get done, like other classes,
Right?
and it just puts it all together. And I don't manage my time like I probably should.
Okay, in a perfect world, when should we start studying?
Or at least a week before.
Yeah.
I would
Or
definitely
when the
say-
professor tells you.
I would say that a week before is, or when you find out when the test is that what you
At least
mean?
look at what your stuff is.
For sure, and even if it's just 10 or 15 minutes, just reviewing notes, and you break it down, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this section today, this section the next day, and you break it down. The information, every time you sleep, it solidifies and sinks in as well.
Right.
So you want to prepare yourself that way. Okay, so we're going to cram, though, because that's normal, though we don't want to. We probably will be cramming the day before. Now, do we stay up all night?
I do, usually.
It just depends. It's like, because sometimes I'll just give up at like 2, even if I don't got it. Then I'll say I'll wake up in the morning and do it, and then I end up not waking up in the morning.
Yes.
So
Right?
I just go and then
Human
not get the
nature.
output I want. So
Okay, so just so you know, for future reference, so you'll never ever do that again,
Yeah.
is that if you do not sleep, you will actually lose your information within 24 hours. So everything you've crammed for, for that one test, then you go to study for the final, you're going to have to relearn all that stuff. If you don't study within 24 hours of when you learned it, you lose it. It doesn't go into long-term memory. It only sits in short-term. So one of the things that I tell my students, when I teach you something on Monday, I know that if my homework is not due until Wednesday, you're probably going to wait until Tuesday night to do it.
right.
But if you actually start it on Monday, that information solidifies for you, and you actually are testing yourself when you do homework. It's that little bit of quiz. And so that information sinks in, and you'll remember it. But if you wait till the next day, you're relearning everything. Nothing that I taught you is probably in your memory as much as it would be in long term if you worked on it the first day. So you want to break it up. Yeah, right? You didn't know that. I didn't know that until I started teaching these workshops. I wish I would have known when I was a student. So now I get to give that little nugget of information for you guys. So every little bit a day. Doesn't take much, just enough to just go over your notes. Even just reading your notes is enough. And therefore, then you're spreading that setting out over the whole semester.
Yeah. That's
So
smart.
definitely preparing yourself beforehand. Okay, but then you're going to go in, okay, butterflies are happening, everybody's talking outside. Hey, did you study this? Did you study that? What about this question? I don't know how to do that. Oh, I'm going to do awful on this test. Okay, what are you going to do to help prevent that for you?
Yeah, I feel like if you're going in to take a test, it's just a test. You just got to think of it just a test, and it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you want to do good, but best you can do is your best. So, just got to do what you can do.
Absolutely. I mean, when it comes down to it, are you not going to wake up the next morning or
No.
something? Not based on that
World's
test,
not
right?
over.
Yeah. But it's very difficult when you're
Right.
waiting for it. So earplugs are good. We all have smartphones now that can play music. So put your earbuds in, turn on the music, and turn it up so you can't hear the person beside
Right.
you yapping about it, right? have that little index card beside you that would help.
Yeah.
So once you start, yes, got to reassure yourself, okay? So that when that negative self-talk happens, because we all do it, even though we don't want to, that negative self-talk, no matter how confident we are, those little things start popping back in there, and to replace it with those positive is a really good idea. Okay, so another thing that would happen during a test. Have you ever been doing a test and all of a sudden on a problem, you're like, oh my gosh, I know how to do this. I know I did this last night. I know. I can't remember anything. Have you ever had that moment? Okay, I think we all have. Yeah. And so what happens is once that cycle starts, boom, all those walls go up. And as soon as you feel anxious, it's sort of like being dehydrated. I don't know if you guys have ever gotten really, really thirsty and you're like, oh my gosh, I need water. By that point, they say that you were dehydrated way before that, okay? So on that test or even in the class where you're feeling all those walls go up, you've got to be very aware of it and know that once you are conscious of the fact that you are now anxious, and we're going to call it anxious, it's not a bad word or anything, but that feeling of locked down, oh my gosh, I don't get this, I'm done. Once you realize you're there, we've got to try to break down the walls, right? And once you're there, you also haven't been hearing and haven't been receiving and not being able to output any of the information that's been going on for a while. So if you're sitting in a classroom or on a test and you get to that problem and you're like, oh wait, I can't remember anything. Oh no, I can't remember how to do any of these. We're going to teach you a couple of techniques. And I would love to do a whole workshop just on how to deal with anxiety. And actually, I would love to get one of our psychologists to do it. But quick ones that will do it is if you're doing this negative self-talk, just scream stop in your head, not out loud, because you might really freak somebody out in the test. Right? It's not Ferris Bueller, right? Or tension breaker or whatever. So what you want to do is visualize a stop sign, if that works, or scream stop. I'm very vocal, can you tell? Just a little bit, right? So I like to scream stop in my head. Other people are very visual and they like to see the stop sign. And I mean really, really see it. See the red, see the outline, see the S and TOP in white. Okay, really visualize it. Why? Because you can't think of two things at the same time. So you're actually giving your brain something to think about. And while you do that, then you can take some deep breaths and start replacing it with, no, I'm going to skip this problem. I know how to do it, but I'm going to go build my confidence back up by doing some of the other ones and then go back to this one, okay? So that's one technique, the stop thinking about this technique, okay? Yeah. The other one is kind of funny, but nobody will know you're doing it because no one's going to be paying attention to you in the middle of class anyway, right? So the best thing to do is to put your feet flat on the floor and you grab the bottom of your chair. Just kind of hold on to it. And then what you're going to do is it's called tense and release. So you're actually going to push down and pull up. So with your hands, you're going to pull up and push your bum down into the seat. I know, but don't make any faces because someone will think you're going to the bathroom or something. You don't want to do that. So you just want to pull up and push down, hold it. And what you're doing, and tense your muscles, and then release. And you're giving your muscles an outlet. All that built up, pent up energy, you're just like, okay. So give it somewhere to go, and then release it. So tense and release. And you can even sit there and just make fists if you want to. But pushing your feet into the ground and really pulling up on your chair, no one will know that you're doing it unless you're really crunching or something. Yeah, so don't do it that much. But that's another technique that you can use, again, that no one will know about. And then the deep breathing, or the palming, which you can kind of use both of them. But the palming technique is really just putting your face in your hands, and it's that cliche of go to your happy place. It really is true, okay? You find that place that relaxes you. Some people, it's church. Some people, it's singing a song, and they listen to that song, and they get calm. For me, it's, be by a waterfall, really warm day, Something that works for you, go there. It's a cup of coffee sitting by the windowsill reading a good book, and that is their comfort zone. What that does is it actually reduces your heart rate. And when you reduce your heart rate, you lose your anxiety, it calms down. Exactly. And what we're trying to do is calm down, and when you start calming down, those walls start breaking down. So the palming technique. And again, everyone's just going to think you're tired and you stayed up too late studying, right. So no one was going to know, right? And the other one is just deep breathing. Again, this one might be funny in a classroom because you really, really need to breathe deeply. I mean, in through your nose, out through your mouth, and really exhale on a big. So inhale and then exhale, and okay, I won't make you do it because everyone will feel really weird. But when you're in your own, there you go. Thanks, Kate. So when you're in your own space too, it helps out a lot, especially if you can practice it. And then it might not have to be so emphasized when you're in a classroom. But if you practice it at home while you're doing your homework and those kinds of things, they become natural for you. And then they'll become habit patterns, and so that you'll be able to use it again. One of the other things, too, is when you're going to study, right? We were talking about how normally we'll put off homework until probably the night before. Again, it's because management of our time. I'll do all my homework for my Monday classes on Monday, and so that we just change our patterns. If you go to do that, when you break it down, and if you just study a little bit on each day, that works out well. Say, I'm going to do 10 problems today, and I'll do 10 problems tomorrow. And then reward yourself, or I'm going to sit down and at least do 10 problems. When you're done with the 10 problems, get up, go get a piece of chocolate. Play a good piece of music. Go dance around your room. Call your boyfriend. Call your girlfriend. Do something to reward yourself for making that goal. Yeah. Okay? When we feel success, we continue to have more successful experiences. And so we like that feeling. And so, again, it builds up new patterns. We want to feel that again and again, and so we will do it. Make good goals, small goals. And the more we feel comfortable with them, then you can make it even bigger. Oh, it's like exercising, right? You're going to start with 50 pounds. And then you build up for the next time, right? Okay, so each time you're getting stronger and stronger. You can sit there longer. You're feeling more confident. So now it's not 10 problems anymore. Now I can sit there and do 20 problems at one setting. So reward yourself. Please, please give yourself credit for whatever class you're doing, whatever test you're studying for, whatever you're doing. Reward yourself for doing those small breaks.
Some kids, I had one of those leapfrog little game things, and I was allowed to bring that to class, and you could play it, and it'd be a lot easier than just writing it, and it makes it more fun too. And I don't know if every kid would have been able to getting one of those, and instead, if everybody would have got one of those, it would have been different.
I wonder if you're a kinesthetic learner, where you like to learn with your hands and to do things and write things. Well, I guess you didn't like to write. Maybe you're more visual.
Like the new Century or video games, I guess, because I enjoyed doing that. Yeah.
It's really interesting. So do you use any color while you're taking notes?
No.
Do you?
I just use whatever I have.
I doodle a lot. Doodle.
You doodle?
Yeah. It actually helps me listen a lot. Like when I'm looking at something, writing, I can hear them talking. If I'm looking up at the teacher, just look all around the room, and I'm just thinking of other things. But if I write something and draw something, I just listen and retain everything. It's really weird.
Have you guys ever taken a learning style survey?
Maybe when I was in high school, but I don't know. I think I have, actually.
Because the one at the Student Success Center that we do, it's about 100 questions, and it goes through everything. Yeah, so you could, and the questions, they start to overlap and they repeat themselves. What they do is they ask just slightly different each time, and they'll ask something like, I didn't know that this was a learning style, but I eat when I study. You doodle when you study. I eat, and I didn't know that was a learning style. It turns out that I think it keeps my... You love food. Yeah. It works, right?
I might try that.
So I think it's because it keeps me focused on what I'm doing. What I'm doing. And so I'm sure that that's what the doodling does for you. But then other people will be able to sit and lounge in their couch or on their bed. I can't do that. I'll totally fall asleep or whatever. So everybody has those. Those are all learning styles. Do you like bright lights? Do you like it dim? Do you like to listen to music while or have noise going on while you study? Oh, there's no way I could do that.
No, me neither.
Yeah, but there are lots of people who have to have that to help them study or stay focused. So a great way to go about learning how you learn or to get better and, decrease your anxiety is to know how you learn and to better study, right? So you study, you change your study habits. So the 100-question learning style survey, awesome. And then it prints out this huge packet that then you can use later, and it goes through all the different things that you can use as tricks to help you, especially if you're a kinesthetic learner. I've been teaching a long time. But I love to move in my classroom. I not only move my hands, but I walk around the classroom a lot too. And I always joke about I've gotten up on the table and been really obnoxious and been like, "This is the fraction bar. Hey, I'm Nicole. I'm the numerator, and I'm down under. I'm the denominator." So whatever works for you, but when you act it out, sometimes it helps. And especially if that's the kind of learner you are, you then know that, and then you can study that way. You know, here's my X and Y axis. I mean, there are plenty of classes that I've done that for too, you know. So that's another thing. And if you know that you have anxiety, one of the ways of maybe going back and looking at what might be the root or the cause of it is an autobiography for yourself. So you go back, you take a piece of paper and you fold it in half. And on the left-hand column, you list off any negative experience you've ever had with math from our elementary school ages where we were not in the cafeteria because we didn't do it fast enough, or we didn't make it around the planets or whatever enough, and I didn't get my Sonic drink or whatever it was. That those are all the things that we write down. And so then we write them down on one side. And then on the other side, we write down what we do now. That now, do we have to hold on to it? Can we replace it with some kind of positive? I'm so glad I'm not that in that class anymore. I'm so glad I don't have that teacher. That was a way long time ago. I'm much stronger and more confident now. And what we do is we replace it. And again, we find something that mirrors it so that anytime we think about that one experience, we bring up the other one as well. And hopefully the negative experience will go away and we'll only hold on to that positive. We've had lots of times where I've had other colleagues who have done autobiographies at the beginning of class. They'll make everybody write a paper, yay, in math class. But really it's to let them know, hey, how do you feel about math? Are you anxious? Do you love it? Do you not? And it turns out, what do you think is the highest math anxiety major? People who have this major have the most math anxiety.
Teaching. Is that good?
Mm-hmm. That's really good. It's actually elementary school teachers, which, if you think about it, is scary.
It really is.
Because those are where we have the most issues with our math anxiety, with our experiences, right? Those are where we have the worst experiences tend to be in elementary school. Well, you have these teachers who are so math anxious that they've actually written in some of these biographies, I hope my students don't know that they know more math than I do. Scary, right? Because they don't know the whys behind things and they don't feel comfortable with it. And if they're not feeling comfortable with it, do you think that they're going to pass it on to these kids? No, they're going to actually pass on the anxiety. Because if they get really nervous or don't know how to explain, it's just going to pass it right to them, right? And then they're the ones that come out and say, there's only one right way to do a math problem. Oh, there is so not just one way to do a math problem. There are so many. But if that's what's taught and you don't get that way, well, then you're never going to get math. You see how easily it gets created.
Kind of like a robot, and there's only one way.
Yes. Yeah. And so it's just good for you guys to know that that's not the case. It's another myth, and to then work on it. And also to know that our counseling center on campus actually is part of your student fees. Mm-hmm. They have counseling for math anxiety, test anxiety, all sorts of things. And they also have a program that's called Heart Math that actually has you sit down, do math problems, and keeps track of your pulse and helps you learn how to calm yourself while doing math. Pretty cool, huh? So it sets up new patterns. Mm-hmm. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I really appreciate you sitting with me and talking about it, and so that hopefully someone else can benefit.
Yep.